or one of those bolsters. Fabulous. I love it. Grabbing all the toys and all the props. It's amazing. Nice to have you. All right, let's start in our comfortable seated position. You can already push play on your playlist. Just make sure, in this case, that it's on shuffle, as an exception to the other playlists that we use. You can use a block or something comfortable. I'm actually going to use my bolster. Nice and soft. Because yin is all about making it comfortable for yourself, so your body can rest and recover, your mind can quieten a little bit. It's almost like, you know, when you go to sleep, when you prepare your bed, that is your place where you rest and recover, and you want that space to be comfortable, clean, nice. So you prepare. It's almost like, okay, let's prepare our space. Quiet, clean, and nicely, nice and comfortable. So come into a comfortable seat. Take a deep breath into the nose. Nice sigh. I think we need some sighs. End of the year, kind of madness. Let's do that 2 more times. Breathe in. Let's just sigh the day out. It's in the past, it's behind us. And let's take 1 more deep breath in. And also the future, tomorrow, whatever comes after, let's leave it with a little of a sigh. And sit nice and still. And just notice. Notice if it feels comfortable to sit still, or maybe not so comfortable. Notice if you can still feel maybe a little bit of subtle kind of stress in the body, the heart rate, or maybe just a feeling of wanting to fiddle. And with every deep, slow breath, that slowly starts to be a little bit less. If we compare our ways of being with nature, from a storm, slowly the wind starts to become less, the trees become stiller, and that kind of energy you can also translate in your own body. That feeling of a tornado of a day, which can just end with a peaceful, windless day. Through your breath, through being still, through processing and noticing your thoughts and your feelings. And today, this week, we have arrived at the throat chakra, the 5th chakra, the color blue, and everything to do with I speak, which can be analyzed or seen in many different ways. Your unique voice, the words that you use and choose to use, the kind of conversations we allow ourselves to get involved with, which can sometimes be toxic, like gossiping, or just negative talk that doesn't serve anyone, specifically not on the long term. But it also very much relates to your inner dialogue, the conversation, that voice, that mind of yours that talks a lot, sometimes more than others. Even in this moment, there's probably a thought. Maybe it's related to what I'm saying. Maybe it's related to a sensation in the body. Maybe it's related to totally something else. The mind is always there. And we can practice and, let's say, train the mind to be stronger, like our bodies can be stronger, to be more resilient, and to also be compassionate and kind. Judge less, criticize less. And when we start to cultivate that kind of view and relationship with ourselves, we can translate that and look less critical at others, have more compassion and empathy, a sense of union, a sense of inclusivity, kindness, rather than jealousy and exclusivity, and noticing things that actually pushes you away from connecting with people, nature, or animals. I speak. Let those words just translate into your own mind and heart. And we'll take another 6 rounds of breath. Feel the breath through the throat. Through the nose, through the throat to fill up the lungs. And empty the lungs through the throat, out of the nose or the mouth. Actually, in Yin, we often breathe out of the mouth. So today, let's focus on our internal dialogue. Let's train and observe, notice. And with that knowledge, with that awareness, we can step off our mat when the practice is over and maybe take some of what we have learned, some of the insights about our conversation with ourselves and how that translates in our conversation with others, our way of speaking, our way of expressing ourselves. Bring the palms together in front of the heart. Acknowledging each other. Thank you for being here. It's lovely to breathe and heal, process, and yin. Today someone said, we have to be more, we don't have to be. Practicing to be a human being rather than a human doing. And I thought it was quite an interesting twist of words. Let's be human rather than do. Enjoy your practice. Let's bow our heads towards our fingertips to seal our intention or dedication in. So we will be working, and then lift your head. We will be working a lot around the neck area, around the shoulder area. Be gentle with the neck. If something feels like it's pinching, just take a different option. It is very interesting to feel into the neck. I'm actually going to sit on a block now because I find the balls are a bit too soft. And then you can cross your legs in the other direction. And we're going to softly stretch into our neck. So feel that you're grounded. You can also sit on the floor, but somewhere where you feel quite stable. And bring your right hand on top of the head. A little bit closer towards the ear. It's not a pull. It's not like, it's not a jamming. It's just a soft tilt of the right ear towards the right shoulder. And the head, the weight of the hand is enough. Notice the stretch in the left side of your neck. And then you have different options with your left hand. You can softly rest on the thigh, or you can reach a little. So by reaching the fingers, or maybe the fingers touch the floor and they're walking away, that increases the stretch on the left side. Feel free to close your eyes. So everything is kind of grounded and centered. Both sit bones equally press into the block. Breathe slowly in through the nose. Out of the mouth, maybe. Where does the stretch start? Maybe even all the way behind your ear. Past the side of your neck, into your shoulder, maybe even a little bit to the outside of your left shoulder. Does this do the sensations increase, change, even the angle of your chin? So lifting the chin a little bit up or bringing the chin a little bit down towards your armpit changes the area where you stretch. We have 1 more minute. So if you want to change the angle slightly, I'm bringing my chin a little bit closer to my right shoulder. And then it goes more into the back here. Keep your eyes closed. Go to a place where you can breathe, where you can smile. 40 seconds in stillness. Take one more deep breath into the nose. And then slowly, slowly, slowly. Ooh la 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 la. I don't know about you, but I can feel a massive difference there on the right and the left side. And then we'll do the other side. So bring your left hand on top. Let's set it up first. Decide how far you want to go here. And I know I have a slight injury on the right. It's not a big issue, but I know that there's like a crack sometimes and it's on the right side of my neck. Interesting, it's on the right side of the neck. And then here on the left side of my lower back, it's often little tweaks and twists are often Z. So if it would be your right hip, it would be your left knee and then the right ankle. It kind of works like that. So I know that it feels very different. I feel I've got more space here. For me, it's the right side. For you, it's the left side. Decide what you do with that right hand on the thigh, let it rest. Or it can be slightly active, not super active, gently active. And then find the breath. Soften the jaw, soften the tongue inside your mouth. Notice the sensations. Can you feel where the stretch starts? Maybe behind the neck, maybe behind the ear. And where does it end? That sensation of lengthening. We're halfway. So if you want to tilt the neck, you don't have to. But if you're curious and you're like, oh, let's see how it feels if I bring my chin a little closer in. Also notice the sensations on the left side of the neck, because that side is a little shorter now. Does it feel all right? Our neck is also an area that is quite sensitive. If you think about the full spine, starting at the base, at the tailbone, the lower back is a part where there's not a lot of support. The mid chest, where the rib cage is, it's way more rigid, also more stable, less injuries. So the part of the spine that is free, that doesn't have a lot of support, is the lower back. But if we have strong core, the core kind of has the function as a rib cage, keeps everything in place. While the neck, also your head is quite heavy because we're so smart. We've got such great brains. I'm just joking. But yeah, the neck is a sensitive place. So giving it some attention and some love is definitely not a bad thing. Slowly let the chest come back up. Notice the neck, the right and the left side. And then we will combine the neck stretch with a toe seat. So we're also going to be working in our feet. We've done this before. It's just such a lovely and healthy stretch to do. So our toe seats, right and left. Two options here. Either you bring your hands on your shoulders and you look up. Try to have so it's not like cramping, like small. Your neck is not small. Your neck is long, and then you can look up to the sky. If you feel, as I said, I know my neck is a sensitive place, so I'd rather support my head a little bit. So I'd rather do that, but this is also fine. We are not the same, so I just want to give you those two options. And we'll stay here for a 4 minutes. Maybe test both options and then decide, okay, this works for me. And then stay with the breath. Nice, deep, slow breaths in and out. Notice the sensations in the back of the feet, around the toes. Can you breathe? Broaden the chest. Open the front of the throat. You can have your eyes open, focused on a point on the ceiling. Or maybe you prefer to close your eyes. Also bring some attention to the lower back. So there's a little bit of activity in the abdominals, the front line of the body, just to make sure that you are keeping your lower back spacious. Not sure if it's more intense for the feet or the shoulders and the elbows. There's a lot going on there, but we're almost there. So stay with the breath, let the breath support your shape. Slow breaths. Yeah, and then slowly lift the head back up and let's release those toes. Ooh. Ay, ay, ay. Wiggle, wiggle. For a little clap. The counter for the feet is to have the toes pointed. You can remove some flesh, maybe the sit bones fit nicely onto the heels. And then our chin is going to come into our chest this time. Again, you can use your hands or just let the chin be to your chest. I'm going to use my hands just to bring them behind your behind your head again. And then you can really bring your chin in. Even though your chin is coming in and your hands are resisting the head is pressing back into the hands. It's almost like, hey, hands, why are you pressing down? I want to lift back up. I want to lift my head, but my hands are resisting. So there's a slight activity. Can you breathe nice and slow? Notice shoulders away from the ears. Connect with your breath. Again, you can have a drishti, a focus point, or maybe close your eyes. Broaden the back line, broaden the neck area. The top of your shoulders, the connection from the neck to the shoulders. Take a couple of nice deep breaths in and out. And then slowly lift your head. And then create a couple of circles. If your feet need a little break, you can even do your circles on your hands and your knees. If you're okay on your feet, just slow circles. They don't have to be big. 2 or 3. When I do that, I have a little crack. As I told you, there's like this little crack on the right side of my neck. Crick, crack, crick, crack, crick, crack, crick, crack. Always when I pass through the right side. Let's see if it does that on the other side. Just a bit of curiosity. All right. Hello, Yuna. Hello, you're coming to say hello. Hello. So the next one, you'll probably need a block. This one, I don't think we've ever done it. So maybe I should just demonstrate it first. You can use your bolster. It's a little bit higher. If that is too high or you don't have a bolster, then use your rolled up beach towel for this. I'm going to be using my bolster. It's actually an interesting one. For this one, ideally, you would have someone to help you a bit because you have to measure out your own body. So your shoulders are going to be on the floor. So the bolster, the shoulders are on the floor. You notice here that the chin is close to the chest. So that also stimulates your thyroid. You can have your knees bent. I can actually move my block with my feet. And then just lie here. If you want, you can bring your hands overhead. That's it. Just make sure that the top of your shoulder blades, I actually want to go down just a little bit. Just a little bit. Yeah, your shoulders are just on the floor. Your arms can be next to the body or overhead. Let's stay here for 3 minutes. I'll wait for you to settle in. I don't think we've done this one before. So if it feels a little weird, that's all right. Okay, I think we're settled there. So 3 minutes here. Whoop, I almost rolled up there. Feel the length in the back of the neck. Feel the tummy stretch. What do you feel in the lower back? Is everything happy and okay? Otherwise, adapt your shape. Go lower with the bolster. Use a beach towel instead. And come to a place where you can breathe. Slow breaths in, slow breaths out. Soften everything. Stay with that slow, deep breathing. Got a little bit more than a minute to go here. Let the chest rise, let the ribs expand on the inhale. And everything softens on the exhale. And then from here, you can bend the knees, place the feet onto the floor. Yeah. And then roll off your bolster or your beach towel and just pause. You can use your bottom arm as a pillow. Close your eyes and just take a couple of breaths there. From here, slowly press up onto hands and knees. And then we do Anatasana. We've done Anatasana a lot. It's also a heart opener because your heart and your chest are nice and open. You can choose, instead of putting the third eye, the space between your eyebrows on the floor, you can put your neck. Obviously, that brings the vertebra of the back of the neck a little closer to each other, so it needs to feel okay. If it's pushing, just to the third eye on the floor. And there as well, we'll stay 3 minutes. So let me just demonstrate. The hands come to the chest, to the floor. The hips are above the knees. So here your third eye can be on the floor. You can also start like this, and then later on see if there is space and possibilities to come to the chin. Yeah, that's it. Soften the shoulders. I'll let you know when we're halfway. Then you can decide if you want to stay or change anything. In yin, it's about being. It's not about doing. So often staying in the same shape serves more than changing. But sometimes you just feel, hey, I've got way more space now than the beginning. I can now go somewhere else. So you may. But again, it's about human being, not human doing. Quite a fun expression. Connect with the breath. We are halfway, so stay or change things around. Come to the chin, or if you're on the chin, maybe that's enough. And it serves you more to come into the eyebrows, into the third eye. One more minute, slow deep breath. Wherever you are, soften the jaw. Around 3 to 4 more rounds of breath here. And then slowly, oh, that was quite strong for me. Slowly, just come into a seated position and do a couple of shoulder rolls. Couple of shoulder rolls backwards. Check into the neck. I find it interesting, and I'm speaking from my own experience. I avoid putting my chin because I'm afraid of hurting my neck, and now I did it. And I noticed it actually serves me if I'm very conscious about it, because I also now am in a habit that I always do it in the same way. Well, sometimes it's good to just check in, like, okay, that is actually a possibility now and again. Hello. All right, from there we come into a heart opener as well as a throat opener. Our Baddha-Konasana, so you can, oh, this is where you go. Look where she's like, very practical. Oh, life's tough. Life is tough being you now. If you can teach yin, you can lie here. Otherwise, you can lie on top of me. So, you can use your block under your heart. If you want, you can use the bolster or something nice. You know, Baddha Konasana is the soles of the feet together. Specifically, if you're a bit tight in the hips, it can be really nice to just let the knees rest on the bolster. And again, it's about the neck and the throat, but in a way that, yes, there is some stimulation. Oh, you are so cute. There is some stimulation, but not to a point that it's pinching. And so that's why you might also need another block as a pillow for your head. When you lie back, the block is under your heart. So around, for us ladies, around the bra strap. This is a small block, so a little higher. I want to undo my hair, rather a little bit higher, so under the shoulder blades. And then just notice if your head is happy there. If your neck is happy there, if you want to go higher or lower. I've got a cat sitting on my head. It's also fine. Oh, Yuna. Luckily, you all like cats, so it's quite entertaining for all of us. And then you have the palms facing up. Slight back tilt of the neck. So the head is tilted back. The front of your throat is open. The neck can relax. At the same time, the heart is a little higher than normal, so it's a slight back bend. The hips are open. We do this shape a lot because it's just so beneficial. Let's stay for another 3 more minutes. Slow, deep breathing. Let your hips be heavy and soft. Every time you exhale. Notice when the mind wanders. That's okay. Just bring the mind back to your breath. And we can use this meditative practice also very much to digest and kind of question yourself in how you speak. If you're happy with the kind of words you use. That's a beautiful thing with the chakra system. It also gives you an opportunity of self-growth. Certain parts of your being, of yourself, you're like, I'm happy of how I present myself in the world. Open heart, closed heart, doing, not doing. And then about the speech. I find it, for me, it's a very important one. To try to speak non-violently, to use words of encouragement. You probably know the poet Rumi, R-U-M-I. Beautiful poets, and very, very much about consciousness and all of that. And he has the 3 gates of speech. So the words, before they actually come out of your mouth, they go in your mind through 3 gates. And the first gate being, is it kind, what I'm about to say? The second gate being, is it true? Is it the truth? Am I speaking the truth here? Am I sure that this is the truth? And we can make our mistakes. We can have a perception on something and change it later, but in that moment, is it true? Does it feel true to you? Is it based on facts? And then the third gate is it necessary? What I'm about to say. Some people speak too much. I could definitely vow, or too much might be a judgment, but I'm more on the speaking a lot side, more on the extrovert kind of side, while others are introverted, and being aware of where you sit, where you stand, and also often being aware of the other person with whom you have a conversation. An introvert might sometimes have to say to an extrovert, I'm sorry, I'm introverted, I need a little bit more time. Can you give me some time so I can accumulate my words and speak? And an extrovert sometimes, and I know this for myself, I need to practice that, is to say, okay, let's be comfortable with the moments of stillness, because this person in front of me is an introvert and they need a little bit more time, rather than speaking again and again and again. All right, yogis, slowly bring your knees in. We again roll onto our sides to safely come out of this space, come out of this shape. Pause for a moment. And then from there, slowly press yourself up sideways. Yuna is loving the yin tonight. From there, we will come into a supported bridge pose with the legs up the wall. Also knowing that when you are in supported bridge pose, again, the chin will be closer to the throat. I actually realized that I prefer my other block, which is here in the cupboard. So I'm just gonna grab this one. I'll show you now. So there's these, I don't know which block you have, but there's obviously a big difference here between, and when you put your hips on this, it's going to feel a lot more stable than this, even though this is very hard. This is softer. So choose the height, low, medium, high. First lie onto the back, then place your block, and then lift the legs up. Now we all have different legs, so if your knees are bent and you're starting to shake and it's hard to relax, then you might also want to add a belt. You can bring, the belt, a bit of a balancing act there, around the soles of the feet. I'm also going to keep my belt. Why not? It just gives a sensation of like, okay, my feet can now be still and kind of rest in the belt. Chin is quite close to the chest. Or the back of the neck is nice and long. You guys sit a lot, I know, so let's stay here for 4 minutes. Because it's also at the same time a drainage of your legs. Make sure your shoulders are broad, that you can soften the shoulders into the floor. You can close your eyes. If the legs up become a little bit too much at a certain time, just place the feet down. You still get that stimulation around the neck, around the back of the neck, around the thigh rows. Slow deep breathing. You can exhale, you can make your exhale a little longer. A nice pace, I don't think we've done it before. I did it in someone else's class this week and I really enjoyed it. Is 7 counts to breathe in and 11 counts to breathe out. So you really slow down your exhales. Your inhale is slow as well, but your exhale is even slower. Maybe try that. Seven in, 11 out. Not easy, actually. I'm empty before you count of 11. So just practice it. Keep practicing. Means that I have to try to let less air escape at a slower pace on that exhale. Probably around one more round of that. 7 and 11 out. Slowly release your belt if you're using it. Place the feet on the floor. And then lift your hips, remove the block. Vertebra by vertebra, roll down. And just lie on your back into a mini Shavasana. Just a moment of reflection, a moment of pause. Just for a little moment. Now roll onto your side, hug your knees in. Now we're going to do something weird. The nice thing is we are together, but we're not in the same space. I know that when I teach this in a group setting, people feel very uncomfortable with it, but that's cool. Weird things, you know, as children, we don't judge about what is weird and what is not weird. And it's almost like what's normal and what's not normal. Like it's all this conditioning and yeah, it's quite cool. So it's called lion's breath. When you breathe out, you're going to stick your tongue out and it's going to touch your chin. At the same time, your eyes are going to be looking up towards your third eye. It's true. I see Paul like this. This girl is crazy. It's also, why do we do this? Well, first of all, it's nice to just, because you also make sound. You also go, so you actually stimulate the throat. There's muscles inside here that is the muscles of your voice. And normally when we're in a group setting, doing something that is totally out of your comfort zone because you feel very uncomfortable with it, it's actually a good thing. Because it happens in life very often that you feel awkward or like you're not sure about what other people think about you. And also just learning like, okay, I'm just going to do this. I don't care. It's quite a cool thing. So we can be on hands and knees. Then you do a breath in into a cat stretch. And then when you come, yeah, I love it. Okay, 5 more times. Inhale. Make some noise so your neighbors can hear you. 5. Big breath in. one day. Last one. How did that feel? Good, no? So I think when you're stressed next time and you're in the office, you just do that. And people will go like, oh yeah, that's fine. Nice. All right, last shape, which we will, now let's do 2 more. So let's do a cloud flow pose with a block, nice and soft. Maybe you want to watch first. Again, your hips go onto the block. So let me actually show you both. Then you can decide, we'll stay 3 in one and 3 in the other. Because the one is a little gentler on the neck. This one, sometimes when I teach this in class, I actually struggle. I'm like, how can I teach this in a way that people understand what I'm saying? Your elbows are into the floor, your hands become little plateaus, and your legs rest into the hands. So if I would now let my hands go, my legs would fall down, kind of. So that's option 1. Paul, maybe just check because we're going to go and move from there. So that's the first one. We'll be here for 3 minutes. It's midi shoulder stance. From there, after 3 minutes, you can lift your hips. Now, once you're in this shape, please avoid turning your head. It's hard for me. It's actually hard for me to breathe there. So when you're there, I'll show you now. It's a nice stimulation of the thyroid. In your vinyasa classes, from there we go to shoulder stance, which is a very, very beneficial shape. But in here, we're just going to do it nice and soft. Just stay here. You can hold on to your hips, or your hands can come to your toes. You're standing on your shoulders. So if there's too much pressure in the head rather than in the shoulders, it starts to like going, and just come out a little bit. Yeah? All right. So let's start with the first one. Where's my watch? There's my watch. Oh, there's my belt. There it is. 3 minutes in both, or 6 minutes in the first one. Our timer of the first one starts now. So let your legs rest into your hands. Your hands are little plateaus. The hips are still supported a little bit by the block. If it hurts your wrists, then just change the position of your hands. Notice if your hands are closer to your hips or closer to the knees. That might change a little bit. Now a shoulder stance, the one that I showed you when your legs go up to the sky, is also an inversion. So this is the baby version of that inversion, the baby version of that inversion. And an inversion is anything where you're turning things upside down. So your digestive system compared to the planet in the sense of gravity is a little bit tilted now. Your hips are higher than your heart. Your heart is a little bit higher than your head. And it's actually really good for you. Also good for your diaphragm, good for your digestive system, the blood pressure. Breathe. Be nice and still. One more minute here. You can feel that there's quite a lot of weight in the block and in the hands, which is less pressure in the neck and shoulders. And for the other variation, we bring more weight into the shoulders, less weight into the block. So just notice if your neck is happy. And let's go there. Slowly, slowly. Lift your hips up and away from the block. You can cup your hands around your hips. My thumbs are in my hip crease and my 4 fingers are around the kidney, around the lower back. If you want, you can bring your hands to your feet and we'll be here for 3 minutes. You will probably notice that it's a little harder to breathe. You can hear from my voice, it's also a little harder to talk. Keep the back of the neck nice and long. You can always back off and come back to that first option. Most weight is in the shoulders. Stay with the breath. Probably quite strong sensations. I don't know about you, but I specifically at the beginning when I started to do yoga, plow pose and this kind of shapes were very hard for me in the sense that it really pulled strongly around the mid part of my back. I still feel that a little bit. Over the years, there's more space. But just around the middle back there, oh, it's pulling. Pulling the skin, pulling the fascia, the muscles. Halfway in this variation, so around 1.5 minutes to go. Keep everything as still as possible. Keep it safe for your neck, stay with the breath. Seconds. That's around 4 to 6 rounds of slow breathing. Just remember that there's a block behind you. So when you roll out, maybe first bring your hands. You can start to slowly roll out. First bring your hands to your hips. So you're holding on to the hips. One hand can find the block or remove the block. Maybe the hips can come back onto the block for just a moment. Place the feet back down to the floor. Yeah, safe landing. Lift the hips, remove the block. And then we come to our final shape, our Shavasana. Make it nice and comfortable for yourself. If you prefer to do meditation, we have 4 minutes left to our official time together. So if you want a longer Shavasana and then even meditate, journal, diarize, don't feel obliged to say goodbye. Just make it your own healing space. Lie back, relax, maybe a blanket, maybe something warm if you feel that you're getting a little cold. And then totally surrender. As I said, if you want to take a longer Shavasana, just stay where you are. Otherwise, you can start to bring some nice deep breaths in and out, in through the nose. Ah, lovely, lovely feeling. Hopefully, that sensation of tornado, mad, kind of, quite of doing energy, yang energy, has softened into yin, into a quieter, calmer, clearer space. You can stretch the arms, hug your knees. Ooh, nice little yawn. Slowly wake up the body. And then roll to the side and from the sides. In your own time, with no rush, you can come back into a seated position. Really take your time. Cross-legged, kneeling on something, somewhere where you can sit nice and straight. Check in for the last couple of breaths with your being, connected to your body. You can notice your breath, so that means there's a body-mind connection. May your mind be clear. May you speak the truth. Wishing you a lovely, serene evening. And a nice rest of the weekend. Maybe take some of that interesting, fascinating analyzers, around speaking and words that we use off your mat. Just observe, just be aware. That's all you can ask yourself. Thank you for being here. It was absolutely wonderful to have you. Namaste.